Here's one that comes up often: 112 versus Jagged Edge. And it's a good versus, and I believe that they're evenly matched. They both have good catalogs, several hits, and they have decent singers in their groups. And to tell you the truth, for some reason, I wasn't a huge fan of either group. I don't think they were as good as groups like Guy, Blackstreet, Boys to Men, Jodeci, and both groups' music was a little mediocre for my taste. Although I did like a few of their songs, but if I just have to go with one, then it'll have to be 112. I feel like their music was a little better. I feel their vocals were a little better. And Jagged Edge, I don't know. I did like that song. He Can't Love You Like I Love You. I like that song. I like Promise. Didn't care for Let's Get Married. I felt that song was overrated, and I hated the beat of that song, so I'm just not a huge fan of that song. And 112 and Jagged Edge came out during a time to where I felt that R&B was going just a little downhill, that all groups were starting to sound the same, and it just didn't tickle my ears, for lack of a better term. The harmonies were good in both groups, and both groups were produced by super producers, Diddy, Jermaine Dupri, and super record labels, So Def and Bad Boys. And I'm not trying to take anything away from these groups, and a lot of times it does come down to personal preference. But I was just into groups. I was heavily into groups like Blackstreet, Jodeci, Guy, and I just felt like all those groups had the it factor, and all those groups had something that separated them from the rest. But I just feel like 112 and Jagged Edge, they were just cheap imitations of those earlier groups that I mentioned. So decent songs, decent hits. I'm not totally diminishing their accomplishments. I'm not totally diminishing what they contributed to the 90s, the early 2000s, which was a strange period. But if I just have to pick one, I just have to go with 112. As I said, they were the better singers. They had the better songs. And yes, they're a little closer to what I like. So 112 for me. Let me know what you think.